public inquiry has been launched into the death of a man in Scotland in 2015. That's 7 years after the death, someone's decided to initiate an inquiry. 31-year-old Sheku Bayoh died in May 2015 after being restrained by up to 7 police officers. It said he lay on the ground handcuffed. Father of 2, Bayoh's family claimed that race played a part in his death and asked if the outcome would have been the same had he been white. In a statement released on behalf of Mr Bayoh's family, lawyer Amma Anwar said, "The Bayoh family have described Sheku as Scotland's George Floyd. The only difference they believe is that despite 7 years of struggle, that Bayohs have never seen justice and are yet to hear the whole truth." Mr Anwar said Mr Bayoh was face down on the ground in less than 50 seconds and was restrained by up to 7 officers as he was handcuffed. He had ankle and leg restraints applied to him and soon died. His body was covered with over 24 separate lacerations, cuts, bruises and a broken rib, said Mr Anwar. Thank you, Smudge. It has been maintained that Mr Bayoh was empty-handed at the time of his arrest. Now, I wonder if the copsuckers on this channel will argue that this man deserved to die, as they have been doing over Arthur, who was killed after being mown down by Sussex police. Will you say that he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing, or he shouldn't have been resisting, or won't that quite fit your narrative? The public inquiry was announced in 2019 after it was confirmed that there would be no criminal charges in the case. However, it commenced on Tuesday in Edinburgh this week. Katie Johnson, Mr Bayoh's sister, said, "This public inquiry, we want the truth. We want the police to come and tell us why our brother died, why our brother wasn't protected in their hands. We also ask the question, if he was a white man, would he have been treated any different?" Mr Bayoh's family has accused police of racism, dishonesty and incompetence. At a news conference, Mr Anwar read a statement on behalf of the family. He said one of Mr Bayoh's sisters, Katie Johnson, has no doubt that the way Sheku or her family have been treated by the justice system would not have happened if they were white. He continued, "Taking the knee and Black Lives Matter will mean nothing if Scotland fails to support justice for Sheku. We are always told that justice is colourblind, but this inquiry must not be blind to the issue of colour." Now, I know this will trigger some people, and it's not meant to. It's simply meant to be a thought about the comparison the family made about Mr Bayoh's comparison to George Floyd. George Floyd was a criminal. There's no doubt about that. He had been arrested many times and is even said to have held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly, although I don't know how true that is. At the time of his death, he's also said to have had high levels of fentanyl in his system. Although these facts are disputed, I ask myself if the man had a history of violence. Had he, at the time, been involved in a violent crime? Was he high on drugs, causing him to act up for police? I'm not suggesting he was, but these are questions that we would need to have answered before making any assumption that his colour played a part in it. And the reason for that is that I think that almost any incident where a black person has been detained and injured, if a white person had been doing what the black person was, had it happened at the same time of day with the same police constables, basically we're talking about parallel universe type of stuff. If everything was identical except the person's skin colour, I do genuinely believe that most of these incidents would have played out the same. Now, that's not to say for a moment that discrimination doesn't exist. It clearly does. But when every incident involving a person of colour is branded as racist, it kind of loses its power. It's a bit like a boy who cried wolf, or when a child says sorry all the time but then goes on to do it again. It starts to lose its meaning. If there is genuine and convincing evidence that discrimination played a part, then absolutely fine. And I'll put my hands up to that. But to blame it for every incident where a person of colour is arrested or interacts with the police is utterly ridiculous. I mean, what are people going to say when the police hit their target of, 50% BAME in the police force, and it turns out to be someone who's of the same colour, who's involved in someone's death or mistreatment? Still going to call it racism? Big thank you to channel supporters, especially these guys. Your support is truly appreciated. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.